For thousands of years, humans believed they were the masters of nature, the dominant species, the apex predator that bent the animal kingdom to its will. We cultivated crops, tamed wild beasts, and built empires with animals working at our side. But what if that entire story is only half true? What if, somewhere along the way, while we were so busy domesticating dogs, cats, cows, and chickens, they were, in a quiet and invisible way, domesticating us too? This isn't science fiction. It's a real theory gaining traction in evolutionary biology, one that flips everything we thought we knew about the human-animal relationship. Because if you look closely, it's not just animals who changed. We did too. In our brains, our bodies, and even our behaviors. This is the secret story of how animals may have domesticated humans, and it starts much earlier than you might think. To understand how this reversal may have happened, we need to look at what domestication truly means. Domestication isn't just about taming or controlling. It's a process of mutual adaptation, where two species evolve traits that allow them to live together. When we domesticated wolves into dogs, we selected the ones that were calmer, more obedient, more attentive to our emotions. But in the process, something strange happened to us as well. Studies show that as we domesticated animals, our own skulls changed shape, our hormone levels shifted, and even our aggression levels dropped, just like the animals we were breeding. In fact, scientists now refer to this as the self-domestication hypothesis. It suggests that humans became more sociable, less reactive, and more cooperative over generations. Not just as a cultural evolution, but as a biological one. And this didn't happen in isolation. It happened alongside animals, especially the ones we shared our homes and fields with. The clearest case of co-domestication might be the dog. Not because we changed it, but because it changed us. Early humans didn't just choose wolves, wolves chose us. The friendlier, more food-motivated wolves began hovering near human settlements. Over time, these wolves grew more docile, more tolerant of our presence, and we tolerated theirs. But in exchange, we changed our behavior too. We adjusted our hunting patterns, began sharing food, and developed emotional bonds. Today, dogs trigger oxytocin, the same hormone involved in human bonding, when they look into our eyes. That reaction isn't accidental. It's an evolved system of emotional manipulation that benefits both species. But who's really in control here? The animal that gives us comfort, protection, and loyalty, or the one that redesigned its life around ours in such a way that we couldn't live without it? And it's not just dogs. Take cats, for example. Unlike dogs, we didn't really train them. They essentially trained us. Cats began hanging around ancient grain stores to hunt mice, which made them useful. But instead of humans domesticating cats, cats subtly adapted to appeal to humans. Their meows actually evolved to mimic the pitch and tone of human babies, because it triggers a caretaking instinct in us. Their purring? It's not just a sign of comfort. It has a frequency scientifically linked to healing and stress relief. Over time, we gave them food, shelter, and love, not because we needed them, but because they made us feel good. And that is the true essence of passive domestication, not through force, but through emotional engineering. They got us to serve them, willingly. Even livestock may have played a role in shaping who we became. As humans transitioned from nomadic hunter-gatherers to settled agricultural societies, animals like cows, sheep, and chickens weren't just resources, they were anchors. Their presence encouraged us to stay in one place, to build fences, barns, and villages. The rhythms of their lives, feeding times, mating cycles, birthing seasons, became the calendar of early civilization. And, as we depended on them for milk, meat, eggs, and labor, we also adjusted our entire way of life around their needs. In a way, they domesticated our behavior just as much as we domesticated theirs. Without realizing it, we adapted ourselves to serve their survival and reproduction. And they, in turn, became so essential that entire cultures, economies, and religions were built around them. But perhaps the most powerful form of domestication is psychological. Animals changed how we think, how we feel, and how we connect. Pets reduce anxiety, lower blood pressure, and increase serotonin. They became not just helpers or tools, but companions, to the point that we grieve for them like we would for a family member. And this emotional transformation didn't come from nothing. Over generations, humans who bonded better with animals likely had social advantages, more cooperation, more protection, even better chances of survival. Our emotional wiring evolved not just in response to humans, but in response to animals. Their presence in our lives literally rewired our brains for empathy, affection, and care. And once again, we must ask, is that not a form of domestication? So when we look back at history and tell the story of how we domesticated animals, maybe we've been looking at it all wrong. Because for every trait we shaped in them, they shaped one in us. For every behavior we reinforced, they taught us something in return. And as we built fences to keep them in, we may have also built walls around ourselves. Walls that turned wild humans into caretakers, farmers, and companions. The truth is, domestication was never a one-way street. It was a co-evolution, an invisible contract written not in words, but in behaviors, bonds, and biology. And here's the twist. Maybe the reason humans became the dominant species wasn't in spite of animals, but because of them. Maybe we became more cooperative, more emotionally intelligent, and more stable because animals were in our lives. Maybe they weren't just passengers on our journey. Maybe they were guiding it all along. And if that's the case, then the question isn't whether we domesticated them. It's whether they were the ones who chose to domesticate us.